Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk Bignonia. Bignonia capreolata is a native vine that is a very vigorous grower. It attaches itself with little tendrils and little feet, that it can grab onto things with as well. It's evergreen in the south. It has this really nice glossy green foliage, and then in the winter time where it is evergreen, it takes on kind of a purplish hue. In colder areas and in colder winters, it can get killed all the way back to the ground, but it's a very vigorous regrower. It'll have roots, and if it has a root system where it's already an established vine, it's going to come back very, very quickly. This is a fast-growing native vine, and it can grow many feet in a single season. You can expect this thing to get 35, 50 feet long if you wanted it to, and as wide as you want to let it get. It can reseed itself. It can sucker, meaning any kind of damage it's taking on the top, it can kind of trail under the ground in the roots and come up from the roots. My buddy has it in two spaces here in his garden, and he basically has it contained on this fence, and he's able to keep it away from anything else, getting onto anything else and getting up in trees and that kind of thing. So he's able to keep some control over it, prune it when it needs to be pruned. So keep in mind, this one will, know the gardener that you are. This native vine is very happy here in the eastern part of the United States, and it can take over really quickly. It gets these incredible 2-inch long fragrant flowers. They're tubular shaped, which is kind of perfect for a hummingbird, right? They're fragrant, and they'll start on these in the late winter and early spring. It's one of the earliest flowering things we'll have here anywhere you have it. It's going to be one of the earliest flowering things in your garden. We're here at the end of May, and you can see it's faded out quite a bit, but it's still flowering. You'll get residual flowers on this even throughout the summer. There's almost nothing better for our hummingbirds. It's the perfect shaped flower. It just screams out to them. Again, it's fragrant, but it needs a little control now and then. So these are hardy in zone 5 to 9, so most people watching can grow this. Again, up in zone 5, it's likely going to be more deciduous and more likely to get killed to the ground, whereas in the south, it's more likely that it's going to be evergreen and have that kind of purplish hue in the winter time. It can grow in the sun or the shade, and a lot of vines are that way, but you're not going to get as many flowers on it in the shade. You're not going to get this kind of full look that this one has in the deep shade. It's going to try to stretch, and it's going to try to get to the sun. That's kind of the purpose of vines. They grow on things to try to get themselves up into the sun. He's got this one in one of the few sunny spots he has in the garden where it can get enough light on it to keep it full and keep it blooming heavily. So this one is growing on a trellis. This is one of the other ones he has. The other one back there was obviously growing on a fence. You can have them grow over an arbor, any kind of trellis that you want to attach them to, they're able to climb on. Keep in mind that they'll also climb onto things near it, and they'll climb in trees and that kind of thing. So again, he's got it in two very controllable spaces. That's what I would recommend for growing Bignonia. Bignonia is going to be pretty tolerant of most soil types. It does like average moisture. So if you can get a spot where it's going to stay moist but not wet, that's going to be kind of the perfect place for it. They are extremely drought tolerant once they're established, but like anything else, when I say drought tolerant, I'm always concerned that somebody's going to take that as it's going to perform its best no matter how much rain it gets, and that's not necessarily true. If you're in a really dry time, it's probably going to start shedding some interior leaves and thinning on you if it's not getting the water that it needs. It will react to it, even though it won't kill it. In zone 5, you're probably going to want to mulch the roots. And I'm going to say everybody should plant the plant and then keep weeds away from it and have it well mulched. But in zone 5, that mulch is really more important because it's likely going to get killed to the ground, and you don't want to get it killed any further than that. So make sure the roots are insulated through the winter. Maintenance-wise, you probably will get root suckers on this thing that you're going to want to pull up. So it's going to try to come up some other place in the bed from any winter damage it takes or any pruning you're doing on it. You're probably going to have to maintain that, and then you're going to need to control the width of it in all likelihood to where you want to maintain it. They bloom on new wood, so no matter what damage it's taking in the wintertime, it should come out and still flower for you. After the slowdown in flowering happens, you're going to get a massive amount of growth like this one has. You're probably going to have to do some pruning on it. You can do some pruning then, and you could do a little bit of controlled pruning in the late winter if you needed to as well, and you're still going to get some flowers because it does bloom on new wood. Again, keep the weeds away from it, keep it well mulched, water it when it's abnormally dry, although it won't die probably if it goes a long time, if it's well established without water. Deer resistant, you know, pretty easy, straightforward plant as long as you're putting it in a place where you can keep some control over it. This is Bignonia capreolata.